All right, what's up, guys? This is Keith from Culture Athletics, and today I'm going to run you through my first Max Out Friday session in several years. I haven't really maxed out many of my lifts, if at all, any of them, in the last 5 years, but a full Max Out Friday session probably haven't done in almost 10 years. But while I'm warming up here, I'm going to go over quickly a quick recap of what my goals are, why I'm doing this Max Out Friday, and what this session is about. So 5 years ago, I made some goals for myself after I finished competing in CrossFit and decided to pursue Olympic weightlifting. And also at the same time that I was developing my culture athletics philosophy of training, that athletic development isn't just for sports performance athletes or or even young people in general. It could be for anybody with any goals and could be very beneficial for them. During that time, I made some goals that I wanted to accomplish by the time I was 40. Things like Snatch 225 or clean and jerk 315, back squat 405, dunk a basketball, sprint 40 yard and sub 5, things like that. And I made this whole process based off of these goals. I called it the Athlete R&D Project. You can see some of my other YouTube videos with that. But life had a different plan for me. In the last few years, I wasn't able to train as consistently as I had planned at that time. COVID happened. That messed up a lot of things. It totally changed my lifestyle. A lot of things changed, and I didn't have the type of training motivation or consistency I had for the previous 10 to 15 years. So I ended up actually reducing the amount of work capacity in my training that I ever had before. I could barely walk up a large flight of steps without getting a little winded. And so, long story short, it took me a couple years to get my training consistency back, my work capacity back up, and all the way until the beginning of 2025 when I actually was able to hit the intensity levels that I had 5 years ago. So this year has been all about pursuing maximal intensity in my training, which had to do across the broad spectrum of athletic development. But once I got to my 39th birthday in August, I remembered that I had these goals that I wanted to reach by the time I was 40. And so here I am, I'm pursuing those goals. And some of those goals are the ones that I think will be the hardest to accomplish if I get any older. So 40 is just a number to me. It's not that I have to accomplish these goals by 40, but I'm going to make that sort of my annual plan. And they are my Olympic lifting numbers of trying to hit 225 in a snatch. I doubt I'll be able to hit 315 in a clean and jerk, but maybe 275 now. Doubt I'll be able to hit 405 in a squat, maybe get back to where I was in the past with a 375 squat, and just pursue those numbers. And like I said, 40 years old is just a number to me. So if I get to my testing day next year at my birthday and I accomplish these goals, or I come close to them, or I don't accomplish these goals and I'm barely made any progress, if it puts a massive strain on my life for this past year to have done what I did, then I'm not going to pursue those anymore. I may still train the Olympic lifts and maximal strength and all these things, but I'm not going to put an expectation on myself like I am now. And then if I do accomplish my goals, if it doesn't put a strain on my lifestyle, it doesn't put a strain on my body over this next year, I'm going to continue, right? So, I mean, if I don't accomplish those goals, then I can continue and maybe I get them in another couple years. Maybe I just need that time of development. But what I learned through the past 12 weeks of pursuing this new, I guess, timeline of my goal is my maximal strength and my capacity to do some of this work was very, very low. And so that's what this past cycle leading up to this Max Out Friday was about. It was about building my work capacity. It was just a capacity cycle, being able to do more work in less time or the same amount of time, and set the foundation to train more and train harder. So that's where we got to today. This is a Max Out Friday session. You're just going to watch me go through my snatches, clean jerks, and squat. I did more than that today, but it's not really pertinent to this video. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing in what I'm thinking about, my technique, things like that. As you're watching right now, I'm only hitting about 95 pounds. So obviously my warm up moving to 115 right now. And I'm really happy with how my technique is. I always had great skill and technique development, but as you can see with my overhead squat, it looks a little wonky. It might not look hard on the video, but my mobility restrictions are pretty restrictive, and they're very like I struggle to get into a bottom position. It doesn't quite look like it, but you can see me moving around at that bottom position. And so this comes down to a lot of things. I've had massive ankle sprains in my ankle and AC joint sprains in my shoulder, and I've had a hip injury from mountain biking. All these, the shoulder and hip injury for mountain biking, but the ankles from soccer. So, anyways, it's just I'm really working through these mobility restrictions now. But my technique, I'm happy with my form and my technique when I nail it. It's just those mobility restrictions. It's my squat strength. It's my mobility. Those are the restrictions that I'm going to have to work on in this next phase. That was 165 there. I remember pulling on my toes in that lift, and I could feel myself getting into the second pull. I was already forward, and that's how I missed that. So I go forward again here and focusing on my balance a little better. I think this looked a lot better. You can see how much I'm straining in that bottom position, but it just doesn't even look that hard. So figured I'd go up to 170, give it a try. I wanted to hit 175. Going through this kind of looks like the New Zealand All Blacks haka dance or whatever it is. But I was really just trying to focus on the sequencing of a vertical pull and then an aggressive pull down under the bar. And I think this looks good. I just can't get that strong bottom position in there. I'm really frustrated with that. Take a seat and think about it and try to visualize myself through the movement. I'm really just trying to maximize my technique. And I think the longer I sat here, the more I was thinking about it, I came to the conclusion that I just think I needed to put chalk on my hands. I totally forgot to put chalk on, and chalk fixes everything. So just put chalk on my hands and go forward again. And that's all I got to do, right? But in this lift, I think I have a pretty solid pull on this as well. I'm pretty happy with that technique. I just couldn't sit under the bar. I was just a little afraid at that point to sit under the bar and put some strain on my shoulders. So moved on from there. 165, pretty pathetic in my opinion. But move on to the clean and jerk. Put more clothes back on so I could stay warm. Run through my typical barbell exercise or barbell warm up for the clean and jerk. But kind of back to how I feel a little pathetic with my strength. My squatting strength is just absolutely horrible. If I compare what I can do today to what I could do 5 years ago when I worked really hard towards it, I'm about 70% of that, so 30% weaker. And almost all of my lifts are about that percentage. So you'll see as I go through this technique, I'm really happy with my pulls, my positions, most part, my overhead in the split jerk here. That was a really good position. You'll see when I get heavier what comes out of that. But my squat, you'll start to also see that I struggle to get out of the squat. That's just something I don't want to be the case. Now I missed this. That was a technique miss, not a strength miss. Same thing with that 165 snatch. I started pulling myself a little forward. So obviously when I miss, I realized that I just didn't put on enough chalk, and so I put more chalk on and give the lift a go again. I think this is where you'll see my, again, overhead mobility restrictions come in the jerk. So solid, clean. I could practically muscle clean that, but still struggle to get out of the squat. So in my jerk position, I nail that, but you could see how my hips were forward. My head wasn't through, my chest wasn't through the window. I kind of catch in the front of my shoulders, and that's just protecting my mobility restrictions. So I was focusing on that in here. I think this is a smoother pull and clean, so that's why I didn't come up so slow. But I nailed this position. I really liked that position that I caught in, but I just wasn't ready to hold it. So moving up to 225, this is what I wanted to hit for today. Again, I still think that's like kind of a pathetic number for me to be attempting as a PR or recent PR, but it is what it is. So again, practically high power clean that and struggle to get out of the hole of the squat. And then I was pretty happy with this jerk too. I mean, I still caught it with my hips forward and a little bit behind, but I still was locked out. A little excited about that. So this is when my ego started coming in, and I was like, well, if I hit 225, why not try 235? Hey, I might hit 245 or 255 today. And then I go and pull this 235, which again looks good. Looks basically power cleaned it. Nailed a solid squat position, but just couldn't even get out of the hole, which makes me super mad, even though I'm laughing about it. So move on to squats. Get through this pretty quickly. Just greasing the groove here, trying to make sure my form and everything feels good. But anyways, yeah, just building up in this. Now squatting, the reason why my squatting strength is so crap now is because two reasons. One, I haven't pushed maximal strength in anything for the past few years until this year. But the second thing is back in 2020 or 21, I did this really, really long mountain biking trip. And when I came back from that, my left hip was so messed up. I think just from just the straining of pushing through mountain biking that I had some knee issues, so I stopped squatting and pulling any bilateral lower body stuff. I just stopped doing it. So that coupled with not doing maximal strength efforts, I've really lost a ton of strength. So I mean, you could even see here I went from 245, which looked really good, up to a 275, and I'm like, nah, I think I'm gonna crush myself and ruin this. So I went back down to 265, and when I did that, you couldn't see it, but I had a little hip compensation where I shifted to the right, and that's what I'll do with this hip issue I have. Fixed it on the 275, looked a lot better, felt a lot better, and so I went for 285, which is what my goal was for today, and just absolutely got smoked by this. And I was pretty disappointed with that, even though my previous capacity phase was all about just developing capacity. What I put a lot of emphasis on in this last phase was squatting. I went from the first 6 weeks doing a 5x5 squat progression on both Monday and Friday. Monday was front squat, Friday was back squat. And it built into that 5x5. I think it took me 3 or 4 weeks to get to a 5x5, and then built up in intensity over the next several weeks. And then Wednesday, halfway through that cycle, I added back in my dynamic effort method, back squatting with accommodating resistance, band tension. So I was really pushing hard on those. Probably the hardest squat sessions I've done in several years. And then to not even hit my max today, I was pretty disappointed. That concludes my Max Out Friday session. What I might do, and if you're interested by sending me a message in the comments, I could do a review and analysis of my last phase in this max out phase and talk about how I put my program together going forward from here. All right, guys, catch you on the next one.